Hello, everyone. Good evening. It's good to see some familiar faces and some new names and faces. My name is Ayal Weiner-Kaplow. I'm a team member here at the iCenter, working in engagement, outreach, some of our facilitation. Like any good Jewish nonprofit, a lot of us are doing a lot of different things, and we're glad to have you here. Honestly, to have you here and also for us to be here with you. Uh, there's nothing I need to say about what a last couple of weeks it's been. But being together is really important. And that's what the session's really about. And over the next hour or so, we're going to take time to provide a space for you all, and frankly, us as educators, to process our own experiences over the last couple of weeks. So many of us have been in the supporting, in uh, the supporting parent, educator, however it may be for you, role. And we want to take a time for you to reflect, to process, to kind of take off the being on hat and just be yourself with a community of other folks, like-minded educational folks. We'll give opportunities for questions within this, sharing your own learnings, the wisdom gathered over the last 2 weeks, and frankly, over your lives as educators, whether it's resources or exercises or other things entirely. And this is going to be a very interactive session. We want your contributions and we want it to feel like a communal experience. So if you're able, really encourage you to turn on your camera so we can see your faces and each other's. And on that note, make sure whatever name is your name. Sometimes we all share Zooms. We want to know what to call you. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce our folks here at the panel tonight. We have Dr. Lesley Litman, who can wave, and we've got names, but and Lesley Litman is the director of the Executive MA program in Jewish Education and Online Faculty Instructional Support Coordinator at HUC, the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion. She also consults for the iCenter in the area of curriculum design and professional development in education. Lesley was a founding member of Kibbutz Yahel down south in the Arava, where she was the first treasurer and headed up the kibbutz's search for an industrial project. She holds a doctorate in education and Jewish education from JTS, the Jewish Theological Seminary. And Dan Tatar. He's dedicated over 25 years of his life to experiential Israel education, from facilitating train travel to Israel to his work as the Director of Engagement and Strategic Partnerships here at the iCenter. And Dan holds a certification in innovative strategies and systematic inventive thinking, an executive MA from the Spertus Institute, and a second master's in the master's degree in Israel education from George Washington University, a partnership between the iCenter and George Washington University. And
I'll jump in, actually, Ayal, so you don't have to introduce yourself. Ayal here is our terrific Associate Director of Engagement at the iCenter, and his infusive passion for Israel was cultivated very early on, longer than I've known him, and it quickly became a major guiding influence throughout his life. And we're happy to have him with us. He's previously lived in Israel. He's lived in Nepal, working in youth leadership development. And he's also traveled extensively internationally. And in better times, he's a terrific person to hear all about his adventures. He holds an MPA from UW-Madison, as well as a BA from Brandeis University in Environmental Studies and International Studies, and a minor in Hebrew language.
All right, and so we're going to get started. Lesley, please take it away.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Could you unspotlight me so I
be happy to. Everybody knows who you are.
This way I can see everybody rather than myself. So it's good to see everybody. What we want to do is just make sure people kind of know who's here and who's coming from where. And we're also, the way we will, I just want to say, when we're doing some sharing and stuff, feel free to unmute yourself for a small group, or you can raise your hand if you want, but if you can't find the reaction button, just, once you start to say something, you'll get the little green thing around your face. So so if you could please, in the chat, just and there's Marielle. Okay, I see you changed your. Okay, hello, it's good to see you. If you could, in the chat, put where you're coming from and where you are, and what you do, what your role is. And if you wouldn't mind sharing, what's one thing you're doing to kind of support yourself, to take a breath? What are you doing for yourself? I've done this before and I get such good ideas. So put in your chat where you're coming from and what you do, and what's one thing you're doing for yourself in these difficult days. And if it's possible to turn on your camera, that would be really super. Ramen, yay. Tatar, director in New Jersey. Okay, Sharon. Stay healthy, get enough rest, eat well. Yes. Joining this call is what I do to support myself. Cooking and baking. I do it for continuing informal call with twice a month. I'll learn how to best support them. What I'm doing for myself is art. Oh, seeing and hearing birds. I'm not sure how to practice self-care. Well, there are birds, there's rest, there's cooking. I think we have some ideas here. Play with my cat. So oh, there's one more. Aura Cohen Rosenfeld. There you are. I'm working on it. I spend the night scrolling. Yeah, I do that too. That's really, yeah. I used to be on Twitter, and then it turned to X, so I went off. But they used to have these cute animal videos, and I used to scroll cute animal videos. But that checking in with friends and trying to laugh. I think so. We're gonna. You can all see what you're doing. What I want to suggest before we get into all of this and what we're doing and questions we're encountering, you're WhatsApping the world, is to take some time to remember always when we're stepping into a difficult moment, what you do to lift yourself up, because it's the old oxygen mask thing, right? We have to put on our own oxygen masks if we're going to help others. So what we'd like to do now, and Ayal or Dan, tell me if I'm skipping around. What we'd like to do now, what I've heard over the last few weeks is that people are bringing us questions. Teachers are bringing us questions. Parents are bringing us questions. Kids are bringing us questions. And we wanted to take some time for you to share what are the questions you're hearing from the people who are coming to you. Hi, Maria, is that what you? I'm like, hello. What are the questions people are bringing to you? And we've put together a Padlet. Does everyone know what a Padlet is? In the chat, we put, there's a link to a Padlet. And if you could, you'll see there's a little plus sign, and that's how you do a, a Post-it and post things. But if you could write down what are the questions that you're hearing about the situation, and just note if it's from a parent, if it's from a child, or if it's from a faculty member or staff member. And just take a couple of minutes and share some of those questions. And then we will do something with them, and then we're going to break into some smaller groups also. So take a moment.
השולחן ערוך, תמונות ילדות על הקיר, שיירות לבנות חוזרות מבית כנסת, והריח הזה ששורט לי את הלב, מתגנב ופותח דלתות אל אושר קטן, אל אותו שיר ישן שעובר אצלנו במשך דורות. מתנות קטנות, מי שהוא שלח לי מתנות קטנות.
Don't forget to write who's asking that. Is it parents? Is it everybody?
מתנות קטנות, מי שהוא שלח לי מתנות קטנות, כמו הכוח לקבל את מה שאין, את מה שיהיה. זה עוד יום שישי, מרפסת ועיתון, השמש כמו הדאגות לאט נמחקת, מנגינות פשוטות זוחלות מהחלום, ושום שערה כבר לא תסתיר פה את השקט. מתנות קטנות, מי שהוא
Sharon, if you want to if you want to write a question in the chat, I can put it up here. Why did this happen? Ayal, is there possible room? Yeah, there we go. Everybody post it? Why did this get now? Budding's still working in Jewish school. Wow. There's, yeah. Yep. Yeah, there we go. Providing aid. How do you explain hatred? Wow. So, what? Take a moment. And, as you read these questions, and please feel free to take yourself off of mute. Are you seeing any themes here? Are you seeing, are most of these questions, if you had to say, yeah, actually, I'm getting almost all of those questions. They're all coming to me in one way or another. But are there any themes you're seeing, any categories, anything that's occurring to you as you look at these questions and you're looking at each other's questions?
You mean categories within the questions we posted?
Yeah, what are you noticing? Are you noticing any themes that are emerging, or
like fear, a lot of fear?
A lot of fear.
That's what I was going to offer too. Yeah.
And I think parents just would love us, the educators, to have the answer for them, because they know how to be parents, but this is like, oh, there's war, there's something else in the world. Let the teacher kind of like deal with it. So it puts a lot on us to comfort the parents and to comfort the children, like on both ends, let alone ourselves in the middle.
It's a little different in the school where I teach, because it's part of a synagogue that's proactive in terms of issues of Israel. Many of the teachers in the religious school team are from Israel, so there's already a strong connection. And in fact, in the evening, this past Sunday evening, they also had a rally at the school for Israel. So there's been a lot of activity going on. I think I don't get the sense of fear on the part of the students. It's more along the lines of acting, working to do what can be done.
So a sense of doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and now Kolami doesn't have a day school anymore, does it? It used to have a day school.
Yes, it does.
Oh,
Yes,
it still has a day school. Great
day
school.
school and
Oh,
religious
yeah.
school.
Okay, so that's an
and
interesting mix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's a great school. Oh, I'm glad to hear it's still there.
You know what? I don't think there's any school that is not doing. I'll be very surprised to hear that any school, but doing doesn't mean that people are not afraid. I mean, you can do, my school does a lot, I do a lot, but you're still afraid. I mean, you see what's going on. So I don't think about any school not doing enough. I think every school is mobilized, and one thing, it's completely separate from the other.
Well, I think Sylvia, I'm sorry, I don't mean to single you out. I think that no, that's fine. I want to try to understand what you're saying. You're saying that the kids aren't bringing a lot of questions with them.
No, they are, but it's directed mainly to the teachers who are from Israel, because we have quite a few teachers who are in fact from Israel. And actually, I think the experience I have is mainly with my own class. There's grades K through 6 in this group. So, and I know the teachers have been communicating with each other too. So, they haven't gotten really as to how the students are reacting in the other classes beyond what they're doing, creating things like cards, collecting and so forth. Again, being proactive.
So there's a doing. What can we do? That's another question.
Yes.
Anything else that people see that you want to lift up, or a question that surprised you? I'm going to actually share with you, just in the interest of time. So this is actually the second time that I've done something like this. And the first time I did it, I noticed there were 4 categories that emerged. And I think you tonight have added a 5th category. This is the problem with articles, that you always want to revise them. But the categories, as I saw them, of course, am I remembering them? No. The categories really have to do, I'm like looking for my pages here, one has to do with personal safety, right? And those questions are up here. Am I safe? Am I safe here? Is it okay to be out in the world? So I see those questions here. Existential questions. Why do people hate Jewish kids? Why do people hate Jews, right? How did this happen? Is this going to happen here? You know, why do bad things happen? So those are kind of the existential questions. Then there are the content questions, like can you tell me what happened that made this happen, right? What do people need to know in terms of the content? And then I didn't see this here, and I'm curious about if you are seeing this, if kids or parents are concerned about bullying from other schools, or are they afraid to wear Jewish clothing? You know, are you seeing anything in the outside world that parents or kids are feeling some concerns? So that's something I don't know. You may not have seen it. Your kids are in most of the kids are in Jewish day school. But here's the other category here that I'm seeing, which is there are a lot of Israelis, and there's the personal. I know you. I care about you. How are you? And that's a what I would say is a fifth category. In some ways, for us, that's probably the hardest, right? How much do you share? What do you tell the kids? So those are the kind of the other kinds of questions that you might field. And I think depending on which kind of question it is, we need to respond very differently. And safety questions are like, here's how we are keeping you safe, right? I mean, so if you think about what is this child or parent really asking me? What, as you listen to the questions that you're being asked, and it's really important to listen, to paraphrase, to make sure you're understanding what kind of questions these kids are bringing, or parents or teachers are bringing with them. I think, Mario, was it you that said fear? Somebody said fear. Yeah, so that's an assumption that you have to unpack in the question. Is it coming from fear, or what kind of fear is it coming from? So I really encourage you to, as we look at questions that kids are bringing us, families are bringing us, our staff are bringing us, to make sure that you really understand the nature of the question they're asking. Dan, do you want to say something? It looks like you wanted to say something.
I was. You're so perceptive in this call.
That's why I don't like to be spotlighted, so I can.
I get it. I'm with you. It's like we're in a conversation here. No, one of the things in the many conversations that we've been having was hearing also really listening to the question, not coming in with what you think the question is, what you're saying. And the example that an educator shared was there was a question that dealt with something along security, something along the lines of what you have. Are we safe here? How could this happen to people, and are they going to be okay? And what they really just wanted was to know that they were safe, a younger person, and not a history lesson on the breach and aspects like that. And it was, we're just reading, they were coming in with their own emotions into it and started offering a very verbose answer, and stopped themselves and realized that's actually not what this child is asking. And what do they need? What they're saying may just be that they just need to feel safe. They need a hug, and they need to know that they're okay, and not not a longer history lesson at that moment.
By the way, I saw that in a lot of I don't know who was it who did this list. Was it you, Marielle? That this list of questions, you have all the categories in the what parents ask. If you look, right, you have the security, you have the existential, you have the content, right, you have the why are people hanging, how do I go in the world? What? Oh, I thought.
I personally don't like eating a sandwich that hasn't been eaten in a long time.
I'm sorry, what?
No, I think she has the volume on. Maybe you want to mute her.
We just muted it.
Oh, okay. So Ayal, do you want to? So we're one of the reasons that we did this in a Padlet is so you can have it and you can take it with you. And when we break into small groups, feel free to add more questions if you want, or to add some notes here as you're talking. Ayal, can I turn this over to you now?
You absolutely can. So we're going to head into breakout rooms right now. And Lesley, before we go, would you reiterate what in the rooms what we'd like to be discussing, in addition to whatever relevant comes up?
Sure. So what we'd like to do is to take some small group time. So we'll divide, see, how many are we? 2, 4, 2, 4, 6. So we're going to divide you into 2 groups, and spend a little time sharing how are you addressing some of these questions with your folks, and what is one thing that you feel that you really it really worked, like you really made a difference, that you nailed it, you got it. And what was what was one thing that you really struggled with and you'd like to do some kind of group think on it? All right, so this is really your time. we lifted up some of the questions as a kind of a starter for you. And so now, how are you addressing some of these questions? How are you addressing the situation? It doesn't have to be these questions, the situation. Where do you feel like you did something really right that you want to share with people? And where are you having a struggle? Is that, and you'll have about 15 minutes to do that. And then we're going to come back and do some sharing and share some resources. And we're going to be coming around too.
All right. We'll see you all in a bit.
We'll see you on the other side. Wow. Am I taking this now? So I had the honor of being in both conversations, and wow, these were super rich conversations. And we don't have a ton of time left, but I am wondering if there's something that occurred to people while you were talking that you hadn't thought of before, that you want to bring to the entire group, an insight you had, another question that was raised, or a point someone made that you found particularly either helpful or challenging or kind of opened you up a little differently.
No, I'll offer. If that's all right.
I didn't sorry, I'm quiet because I didn't understand. Can you say
the conversation? Was there something that you hadn't thought about before that came up as part of the conversation that you want to bring to the whole group, saying, yeah, this I hadn't really considered before?
Anna?
Yeah, Maria.
Monica made me think. Monica says she's not Jewish and works in a Jewish school. And it made me think that I really don't think much about all my colleagues that are not Jewish, how might they feel. I have fantastic colleagues, but I didn't put an effort to understand that they also go through this. That was very telling for me.
I think one of the elements, if you're working in a Jewish day school, one of the elements that you find inside that school is that generally it's kind of an insulated atmosphere too, that you're not going to face the people who are in that different element. Sometimes you do if you work somewhere else or if you go somewhere else. Even something as simple as going to a supermarket and seeing somebody who's dressed with a covering and all of that, and you wonder, well, what are they thinking?
Yeah. Snaid?
I want to say thank you to Sigalit, because I will connect with my niece in Israel, and and my 7th grader are gonna talk to her on Sunday. This is such a great idea. This is a wonderful idea that I heard in our little room. She just started talking about it.
Yep. Sigalit.
My students check on me. Yes, I agree with what Mariel said, because it's easier for us to think, because that's on the other faculty that's not Jewish or connected to Israel. But last week when my students checked on me and I checked on them, I said, do you wanna? They follow me for a few years. I said, let's check in on Gaia, my niece. They said, absolutely. So I called my sister-in-law on WhatsApp. I said, yeah, is there a siren now? She says, no. I said, can we take a tour? So from the house with Gaia and Amy, we walked into the mamad, and they showed us there was underwear, there was the floor, and there was clothes. There was videos they had there, and there was a little TV screen, and there was water, and they had a pile of pasta and like just like stuff. It was a real family room with a mattress and pillows, and they really saw it live, and they saw two faces that connected with it that are similar age and are dealing with it. And I think it gave a sense of relatability that it's not okay to be part of war, but it was good. It was really good for them. And today they said to me in class, like, we need to check in with Gaia and Amy this week. So it's creating kind of a link and connection that's a live and healthy connection as much as we can. And it was really impactful for them.
Thank you. I want to thank you. And I think what I heard both in the groups and now, the caring, the checking in, the caring, whether it be, I think, Maxine, you talked about the kind of caring that's going on at Heschel, that people are really making space for people to have a hard time and stepping in if they need. You've all somehow talked about the need to check, the need to connect, the relational piece here. And that for me is one of the things that's coming up here, especially in day schools, which is a little different because you spend a lot of time together. You know, in congregations, it's a little different, but here you're spending a lot of time. So that morning check-in, but really checking in all the time, and the ability to connect with Israelis is, you know, in Israel. Also, in some ways, when you can see it, it becomes less fearful. It becomes fearsome, whatever the term. So, so we could probably stay and talk for I know I could. I've learned so much from being with you. Ayal, do you want to just talk a little bit about some resources? And then we'll.
Well, what I was going to say, we'll wrap up just a moment. First off, I'll add that anyone who'd like to stay afterwards and ask, share questions with any of us, we're here. So. But also, of course, we scheduled till 7, so we'll respect time on the scheduling, but please stay after if you would like to speak more. Want to actually talk about what here at the iCenter, we've got a couple of things that we're doing to support educators in the coming few weeks. One of them is we're offering free one-on-one consultations with educators or teams of educators. And we have our senior educators are available. We've scheduled a whole sign-up system that you can find a time, just about any time that works conveniently for you, to come and speak with one of our team members, talk through some of your challenges, some of your successes, and customize, intentionally create strategies for going forward. We also have a webinar coming up on Sunday. So in, what are we? Wow. 3 days from now, and the seminar is called, or the webinar is being hosted by the Jewish Education Project in partnership with us, the iCenter, Hillel, Jewish Agency, and many other great organizations. And it'll bring together panelists from across the field of Jewish education, camp, day school, Hebrew school, all ages, and the goal is for you to leave with more content, skills, and also hopefully, like this seminar, feeling a little bit of chizuk, a little bit of strength, a little bit of reinvigoration. And not to worry, I'll send all of this out to you after this webinar. And we've also got a couple of iCenter resources that I'll include in that email. And Lesley,
I was just going to quickly add, because I see some faces here that actually joined us, found out about this from a WhatsApp group that we've started, and it's really become a lot more active. I think this group would be interested in. It's called Let's Talk Israel Education, and people are sharing similar to this. They're creating space for each other. They're sharing things. They're sharing questions they're hearing. I know Snaid, Sigalit, many of you are in this, so we can add that as well, and I'll also put it in the chat as we conclude.
All right, I'm going to pass it to Lesley to finish us up.
Okay, thank you. So I am going to share my screen. I'm sure many of you have seen this, but it seems particularly profound today. We played Yehiyeh Tov on the way in, and when I read this verse, it took my breath away. אני מביט מהחלון לראות אם כל זה אמיתי. I look out my window to see, is all this real? Could it be happening? מביט מהחלון וממלמל את תפילתי. I look out of my window and I mutter my prayer. עוד נגור זאב עם כבש ונמר ירבץ עמדי. Eventually the wolf and the lamb will live together. And the leopard shall lay down with the goat. אך בינתיים אל תוציא את ידך מכף ידי. And this is what we're talking about. In the meantime, don't let go of my hand. We need each other. כי יהיה טוב. אני מביט מהחלון. אולי מגיע יום חדש. And all will be better. I look out of my window and maybe a new day will come.
Leslie, can I mention that Jonathan Geffen wrote this, who passed away,
Yeah.
I think around 2 or 3 months ago, and he's a genius with words.
Yeah. And I, what I will say to all of us as we move through this impossible time, that hope is like a light inside of us, and it can keep us warm, and it can shine the way. And we could have sung Hatikva as well, but this hope for Ayom Chadash, B'karov B'yameinu. So thank you for your open sharing and caring, and for the incredible work, the super important work, and the Bilti Nifseket, the work that just doesn't end, that you are doing. So take care of yourselves. Want to end with a reminder of the things that you wrote to do for yourselves. So please do that. And we're here for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
תודה רבה, תודה רבה.
Thank you. Peace.